Want to win a Razer Naga Chrono mouse or a Razer Chrono Black Widow X keyboard? Click the link in the description to find out how. World of Warcraft, the monster MMO game by Blizzard that was released in 2004, has not only caused a massive stir in the gaming community since its release, but also in general media as well. South Park have had an episode based on the game, as well as being referenced in other TV shows like The Big Bang Theory and movies like The Day the Earth Stood Still. With WoW reaching its 12th anniversary, the long lifespan of this enigma of a game has had many historical moments, but what are the most memorable moments in this game's history? In this top 5 video, we're going to look at my top 5 most memorable in-game World of Warcraft moments. Number 5. Nostalrius being shut down. Private servers have existed for World of Warcraft more or less since the game was released, but one private server, Nostalrius, was something special. Opened on the 28th of February 2015, despite only being active for a year, Nostalrius had over 800,000 registered accounts and over 150,000 accounts that were active. One of the main reasons Nostalrius was so special is because it was considered Blizz-like. There was a team of voluntary staff members who would be there to help players like real GMs, there was no pay to win, cheating would result in bans, it was DDoS protected, and the content was progressively released. Nostalrius was so popular and successful that it reached the attention of Blizzard. Like the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. The private server's developers received a formal notice from Blizzard lawyers making them shut the server down. On the 10th of April at 11 PM server time, it was officially disconnected. Thousands upon thousands of players signed in for the closing of the realms, myself included. The server's closing down night was an event in itself. Everyone stood in the capital cities, protesting against Blizzard shutting down the server, and sharing stories of their Nostalrius experiences, as well as their experiences from vanilla WoW itself. The server's disconnection caused a massive outcry from the community. A petition was created that peaked at almost 300,000 signatures, asking Blizzard to make their own vanilla legacy server so all of us who love the original game can relive our nostalgia. Although it's doubtful, hopefully Blizzard will come around to the idea of releasing legacy servers in the future. Number 4. Southshore vs Tarren. When WoW was released, there were no battlegrounds or arenas. No battlegrounds were actually in the game until over half a year after the game was launched. So back then, if you wanted to kill some people and let out a bit of rage, you had to go into the world and find some action. This is where Southshore vs Tarren came in. It would start off with one faction attacking some members of the other faction. That faction would then ask for help from their guild, who would come in and either balance the factions or push the other faction back, which would then result into both factions calling for backup from their friends and guildies. Eventually, this would escalate and it would turn into a massive server war. Eventually, Southshore vs Tarren became the place to go if you wanted to PvP. If you watch my channel, you will know when it comes to WoW I'm mainly a PvPer, and these battles are some of my favourite WoW memories. As it wasn't in an instance like Battlegrounds, we had the whole map to potentially fight in. When the Alliance were winning, the Horde would get pushed back all the way to Silverpine Forest, and when the Horde were winning, the Alliance would get pushed back to the Arathi Highlands. Now, as epic as this was, I will take off my rose tinted goggles for this. It wasn't all fun. When the fights would get so big, lag became an issue, and a lot of the time it was a bit of a res zerg. Blizzard did try to re-implement Southshore vs Tarren in the WoD pre-patch in the form of a BG, but it didn't really work, as honestly, player skill and awareness is a lot better now than it was back then. Back then everyone would charge in, but now we stand back and let the casters stay at range to pick people off whilst Death Knights grip the opposing faction in and one-shot them. It's kind of a shame that massive scale world PvP doesn't really happen anymore, and the original Southshore vs Tarren will be missed. Number 3. The Corrupted Blood Plague Incident. On the 13th of September 2005, the new raid, Zul'Gurub, was released. The 20-man raid was located in Stranglethorn Vale, and its theme was about stopping the Gurbashi troll god, Hakkar the Soulflayer. Part of Hakkar's mechanic was that he would cast a dot on the raiders called Corrupted Blood. Due to a bug, hunters, pets, and warlocks minions could carry this dot outside of the raid instance. When the pets and minions were summoned outside of the raid, the Corrupt Blood dot would then spread to other players. Contracting the plague as a level 60 player, which was level cap at the time, wasn't too bad, but low level players would instantly die as soon as the dot spread to them. This bug caused gameplay to be massively disrupted, and players were acting as if this was a real plague. Overnight, capital cities were abandoned, and players were forced to flee from any populated areas in fear of the plague. Healers were trying to keep everyone alive, players were directing other players to places that were free from the plague, and even Blizzard themselves insisted players voluntarily quarantine themselves. I think I was about level 30 when this happened. The plague was so frustrating that I just stopped playing until my friend told me that it was safe to come back, and it took Blizzard a whole week to fix the bug. This incident caused a massive stir in the media, and scientists have even used this incident for studies to see what people would do and how they would react if a real plague was to occur. Number 2. The Zombie Plague. It was Wrath's pre-launch event. On October the 22nd of 2008, Argent Dawn members appeared in the capital cities, warning us of the oncoming threat that would be one of the most awesome end bosses in WoW history, the Lich King. At first, us players just thought these warnings would be just some in-game hyping for the new expansion that would be dropping in a few weeks' time, but little did we know, these were warnings for probably the most controversial pre-expansion event we'd ever see. The event started off somewhat innocently. Crates containing cockroaches appeared in Booty Bay, a nice nod to where the story of Arthas began in Warcraft 3. However, inspecting these crates would give you a disease. If you weren't cured within 10 minutes by a priest or a paladin, you were turned into a zombie of the Scourge. The next day, the crates began appearing in major cities, and this is where the fun would begin. This time, the disease wasn't easily cured, and did I mention that when you were turned into a zombie, you could infect other players? As you can imagine, this was chaos. Whilst players were having fun infecting one another, with each passing day, the plague got more intense. Plagued NPCs began spawning in low-level areas, infecting players as well as other NPCs. Stormwind and Orgrimmar were full of people trying to infect other players, and other players trying to fight off this plague. Just like the crop blood incident, the disruption it caused forced players to hide so they would not be infected. Unfortunately, due to the disruption, a lot of the community cried out, which is why Blizzard haven't done a similar thing ever since. Number 1. The opening of the gates of AhnQiraj. On the 23rd of January on the Realm Medivh, the gates of AhnQiraj first opened. Out of the gates flooded one of the raid's bosses, large Anubisafs, and swarms of bugs. Players and NPCs would have to join forces to try and fight these massive epic mobs. What made this so epic was that to even unlock this event, the whole server would have to come together to do dailies and hand in various resources like leather and bandages, and believe me, it took a while. What made this awesome was because as players, we were preparing for a war against the Kiraji Empire, and handing in millions of resources only made us feel like this war was going to be epic even more. Once both factions had finished their resources, it would take 5 days for the Zeppelins to transport all of it to Silithus. After the 5 days, a player who had completed the achievement, which was a serious grind in itself, would go to the gong, shattering the gates to AhnQiraj. For 10 hours straight, players had to combat the massive elites that would spawn out of the gates. This was the first time in World of Warcraft that we ever saw cooperation amongst the factions. Alliance and Horde were working together. Despite how awesome this event was, it was so massive that even Blizzard themselves weren't prepared for it. Server crashes and lag like you've never seen it. The lag was so bad that the PC I had at the time couldn't handle it. I had to go over to my friend's house to watch him do it. But the thing was, it was so awesome that even watching it was badass. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever see an event this grandiose ever again due to the problems it caused, but the legacy that the opening of AhnQiraj's gates has left has rightly earned it the number 1 spot on this list. I hope you've enjoyed my list. For me, making this video was amazing and seriously nostalgic. I got to somewhat relive some of my favourite memories from this game, the game that I've played for almost 12 years of my life. But yeah, what are your favourite WoW moments? Let me know in the comment section below, as I'd love to read about them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more WoW content. I have been BananaRaccoon, and thank you for watching.